Hey guys, this is Ned with another video for you. I know it's been, 2 videos in like 3 days. I know I'm kind of going overboard right now, but this was kind of on my mind and I wanted to go ahead and provide it for you guys. So we'll go ahead and knock this out. This video is a little bit different. This video is not so much about actual cards or decks. Well, it's about cards, obviously, but it's not about decks or how to use cards. This one is about undervalued cards in the game. Cards that you don't see very often that I think really you should see more often because I think that they provide excellent value for the mana cost that they have. So the deck that you just saw was one of them, and one of the things I'm going to show you is you see a good bit of mini P.E.K.K.A.s. They move fast. They have a good bit of hit points at 10,000. They do 317 damage per second. And one of the cards that I've shown is the Knight, which has 1,400 hit points and does 144 damage per second. It hits a lot faster than the mini P.E.K.K.A. does, so it does better against small troops. And it's got a little bit more health, and it costs 1 elixir less. The Knight is a card where when you see it, you don't really think much of it, but when you're playing it, you're always kind of thrown back. You just kind of say, oh, wow, well, okay, that happened. And always kind of surprises you. The Giant Skeleton, I think that this is one of the best tanks in the game. One of the things I like about it, and you'll see as the gameplay, is shown, I like to throw it down one side to defend when they place their troops down. When it dies, it blows up and kills all their attacking troops. It's great against Sparky because if you get a couple hits on Sparky, like with a Fireball and then Giant Skeleton, it kills Sparky, which I know can be a huge issue for some people. It's just a really, really good card. The Tombstone is a great card, especially against tanks like the P.E.K.K.A. or Golem. Maybe not so much against Golem, because when Golem breaks apart, it'll kill skeletons. But it's really good against a Hog Rider, things like that. It's just a great card. Skeletons are great on defense, especially against things like P.E.K.K.A., against Hog Rider, against Prince, really anything like that. It just does a really, really good job of that. This is really good against Prince as well. The Bomber does a good bit of damage. It does really good AoE damage. It's really good against things like anything where there's groups of troops. It does excellent. Even Barbarians, it's an excellent counter to Barbarians. Not as good perhaps as maybe Fireball, but it also costs a little bit less than Fireball at 4. This Guards are a card that you don't see played too often. I don't even play them too often either. But they are an excellent, excellent card, especially, they're even better, I think, than the Skeletons, against things like P.E.K.K.A. or the Prince. They're really good against even a Valkyrie. They're good against Wizard. You'll see also in some Wizard plays, a Wizard takes 2 hits to kill the Guards, and by then the Wizard is dead by the time it kills them all. So it takes 2 hits just to kill the shield, and then by then the tower's hitting it. It's just a really great card. Spear Goblins are one of my favorite, most undervalued cards, and that's just because of the damage that they can do to the tower. Absolutely fantastic. And I think that tanks right now are, a really big thing. And the Inferno Tower, nothing kills a tank better than an Inferno Tower, and you don't see it too terribly often. And of course, there's counters to everything here, ways to play around it, but I do believe that these are some of the most undervalued cards in the entire game. Now, the criteria for me putting cards here are cards that don't get played too terribly often, but I think could be played more often with a lot more success. Now, there's some cards out here we know are really good, that are kind of cheap and whatnot. Like Zap gets played a lot, does a lot of good things. A lot of different cards are really, really good. But I just think that these are some of the most undervalued cards that used correctly can really help you with your gameplay. Now, I included all of them in a deck and played guys in my clan, and we'll go ahead and watch it. Now, this was not exactly I would not endorse using this deck in a regular, gameplay. I just kind of threw them all together. There is a lot of benefit to this deck, but I think if you're playing someone at the same arena level as you, you wouldn't win. I think the only reason I'm winning is because I'm 1,000+ trophies over all the guys I'm playing. So I'll go ahead and speed this up just a little bit. One of the things I really like to do with the skeleton is, especially if they do a spam deck, skeleton is great against a spam deck. Why? You play it, you attack on the other side. They do their thing, they're attacking, they've got their tanks down, and then it kills everything, right? And it's fantastic. And in the meantime, you get a little bit of damage down on the other side. I'm sorry, guys. I have bronchitis, so I'm a little sick right now. I do apologize for that. Another thing I saw someone use against me was that skeleton, the tombstone. Great little card. Does a lot of cool stuff, and it's a great defense in general. Now you'll see how long it takes them to kill that knight, and he's able to pretty much kill the Valkyrie itself. A lot of people use the mini P.E.K.K.A. to kill a Valkyrie, but I think that the Prince is an even better option. Those knights, you'll see that they stay alive a lot longer than skeletons. I just think that they're an absolutely fantastic card, and I really, really, really like them. The Tombstone, as you'll see me playing it now, is being used in kind of an odd manner. I don't think that it's the best manner that Tombstone can be used in. I think that there's definitely better ways to use the Tombstone, but it's still a really, really good card. And we'll see later in some gameplay how I use the Tombstone in a way that I would recommend it being used that just is absolutely phenomenal. So we're just going to keep on going here. Now this deck, of course, there's a lot of different stuff, and it doesn't do too well against air troops, because the only thing I have that can hit air is the spear goblins, but that's okay. So we're going to see I'm kind of pushing for this win here. Even though this guy's kind of a lower level than me, I still really want to win. I don't have any spells just to finish off that tower, so I managed to get that push on the other side and win. That was fantastic. Good sportsmanship, especially for guys in the clan. Say good game, and that's all there is to it. So let's go ahead and look at another one. The first game was against this Eunice Yildirim. I think he's from another country than America. He speaks in some other random country sometimes, but still, cool guy. A really cool guy. So now here we'll see some of the wizard stuff that I was talking about with the guard. Now this is something that I just saw actually in this match, and I thought it was really, really cool. This was against Winston. Winston's pretty good. He's beaten me a few times when I've used my actual decks, so that's cool. So again, I use the skeleton giant to do its thing, and wait for it to blow up. It does, and you'll see right there that he placed that those guards all had the its power, or it had its shield up after one hit from the wizard, and that right there is one of the best uses for the tombstone. And we'll see it again later in this game, is using it against a hog rider. Few things are as good against a hog rider as a tombstone. Now, there is the exception of a zap, because a zap can absolutely wreck once it comes out, and that's happened to me a lot. And there's really not much you can do. The barbarians are probably still a better play, but it costs significantly less elixir than to use that. So anyways, we're going to keep on going. And see, there it is, and they just kind of go right through and take him out. And that's always what you want to see. And Winston wins, that's fine. We weren't doing this for a win. We were just doing this just to see the different cards. So that was kind of how I played them. And, they did really well. So that really kind of showcased how to use, this card right here can do well against wizard, because a wizard can't kill the shield with one blow. So you throw them in the middle, let the tower aggro onto the wizard. The tower is going to kill shoot at the guards, and it'll take a couple hits. It's not like using spear goblins or skeletons So I think that these are an excellent card against Wizard. This right here, excellent card against the Hog. You kind of saw how that worked in this last game. And this just wrecks into tanks. You saw how quickly that took out the Giant. And there's just nothing that you can do against it. And it's absolutely phenomenal. So this next one I'm going to show you is against Robert. One of my favorite cards of all time is actually the Spear Goblins. I am leveling them up right now. It's only level 9 right here, but in actuality they're level 11. That's because I've been spending so much time and effort leveling up my Spear Goblins, because I think that they are so undervalued. When people see Spear Goblins, they do nothing. One of my favorite things, if I have Spear Goblins, is I'll throw them out, and I will get 300 damage on the tower just from those Spear Goblins the first round, because people don't defend against them. They're cheap, they're only 2 elixir. People don't think to defend against them half the time, but it's free damage. So this one here, oh, I didn't mean to do that. This one here, we're going to go ahead and focus on one part of this game with Robert. Again, sorry, it's that bronchitis rearing its ugly head. And we're going to watch this game against Robert. I asked Robert, I said, hey, Robert, only attack me from one side and don't defend against the Spear Goblins. Now, of course, anytime you just use nobody defends against a card, you're going to win, because you needed to be able to defend. But, that being said, I really wanted to showcase how well these Spear Goblins can do. So, pretty much on cooldown, I'm throwing those goblins you'll see out on the side. So, his tower has 25, 30 health originally. I did 300 damage to that tower just on that right there. And then we only attacked on the other side. I respected, him, and I just attacked on that other side. Bam, that's another 300 damage. So I've thrown him out twice on that left side, and you can see that I managed to get 600 damage just from 2 iterations of the Spear Goblins. Right now he's winning on the other side just on, what we're playing. But that's okay. We're going to go ahead and, try our best. And that's the other thing that you can use those skeletons for. I just did that. Once aggro has been done by something like a Musketeer or even a Ice Wizard, you can use them really, really well. Once aggro's already been, given, you can use them to attack and try and win. So, I'm just trying to win here. And you can see how much damage unchecked those Spear Goblins do. Because those Spear Goblins just do a ridiculous amount of damage. And every time, it's just, 300 damage, 300 damage. Now, if yours aren't level 11, you might be doing 200, 220, 250. It is what it is. So, whatever. But it's, really good card. And I just think that it's one of the most undervalued cards in the entire game right now. Now, he does a really good job trying to kill me. Doesn't quite pull it off. Again, this deck, it's not meant for fighting. I was just trying to showcase some of the strengths of, these cards. And again, Spear Goblins, when you see them come out and people just plop them down, defend against them. Do something just to defend a little bit. And if you have them, by all means, try and use them. They're a great follow-up for a tank. So imagine if you had something that was like a knight or, this guy, and it's just they're able to do free damage to the tower before the tower even aggroes onto the Spear Goblins. You're getting so much damage done. If it's an extra, 4 tower shots, because it takes 2 tower shots to kill 1 Spear Goblin typically. So you're doing pretty darn good if you can get an extra 4 to 6. If you can get 6 tower shots on a tank before the Spear Goblins start going in, you're looking at a lot of damage. Now, if you're actually, have a push going with the tank and all that, they're usually going to do something to, of course, combat the Spear Goblins. But, that being said, if you have them, and you just need to do something while your elixir is building, or you're waiting to defend, or something like that, Spear Goblins are fantastic. I love them so much. I cannot stress enough how much I love those spear goblins. So we're going to go ahead and do another one. Let's see. Ramon just wrecks me. This deck is horrible against air. And Ramon, as you can see, has a lot of air. Let's see. Let's do another defeat. So we'll do another defeat here. And this one, Robert just went to town on me. I think this was it. No, that was me winning 3-0 against Robert. Let's see. So, Winston. So, we'll go ahead and watch this one here. I've already shown one against Winston. Yeah, so we're going to do this one against Winston. Right here. So, at my level, there's a lot of people using Lava Hound. There's a lot of people using Pekka. A lot of people using Golem. A lot of cards like that. Balloon. And unless you have Freeze, the Inferno Tower is hands down one of the best cards you can have. Hence making Freeze such a valuable card, both offensively and defensively. But we all know how destructive that can be. So against a Hog, even the Inferno Tower is really, really good. There's just nothing they can do. So again, you'll see me kind of throw those Spear Goblins out, and they get all but one hit, and I do. They all get all but one spear thrown, and they do a ton of damage. So again, you see it takes that wizard right there, 3 hits to kill those guys. So that's what you want to see. That is absolutely lovely, and that made me so happy. So he used that zap too late. If he had used it a little bit earlier, I think he would have been able to get those skeletons. But you can see how well the Tombstone does against the Hog Rider. Even when there's a balloon there, he did an excellent job on that. But nonetheless, you'll see that Knight. Look at how much time it takes that Knight to die. That Knight is just a really good defensive card, and it's a little bit cheaper than that Mini Pekka, and it looks less imposing. To me, it's just as good a card. Maybe it's not quite as good because it doesn't do the damage, but defensively, I think that it's a very, very good card to have. And I don't think that there's many cards that can outperform it. So again, I drop that down there. And then I use my guard right there. And you see how well the guard does. And the towers wasn't even focused on the wizard. And the guard was able to take out the wizard. So again, really good card. Really undervalued. Can do a lot of good stuff. It also does really good against the Valkyrie, because the Valkyrie doesn't necessarily kill it at first. Great card. I'm going to go ahead and speed this up because I'm kind of running out of things to say, which is why I was repeating great card all the time. He did a really good job of following up the Hog with the Fire Spirits. So congrats on him on, kind of taking that out. And I'm able to take a tower. And again, that's because of the guard, because they do so well, and they do a lot of really cool stuff. And again, Spear Goblins are also really good for taking out some air defenses. I don't know, I just really like the Spear Goblins. To me, at 2 mana, I think that they're pretty good value, and I think that they are one of the most undervalued cards in the game. There for a while, I thought that Barbarians were one of the most undervalued cards of the game. They do so much, but a simple Fireball or a Valkyrie or a Wizard, or heck, even this guy, the Bomber, just do so much work to them, and they are pretty easy to counter. But unchecked, I think the Barbarians do really, really well, because they can nearly take a tower all by themselves. But anyway, so this was all about really undervalued cards that I think you don't see very often. I think you see Bomber quite a bit at the lower levels. Excuse me again, sorry guys. But at my level, you don't see Bomber too often. So again, these are some of the most undervalued cards. I wouldn't use them all in one deck, because there's definitely better cards based on what you want. There's better tanks. This is what's called a mini tank. It's not really a tank, but it is a mini tank. And I think that as a mini tank, he does really well. I think there might be some better options. I like the Valkyrie a little bit better as a mini tank, as well as the, what do we call it? The dragon, the baby dragon. I think the baby dragon and the Valkyrie are a better option, but he's still a wonderful, wonderful card, especially if he's used defensively. The giant skeleton is just, to me, so you can use it so very easily, and does so much value to it. Great card. And I've used it a lot against Sparky. And the return that I've gotten when putting him against a Sparky is invaluable. Does a great job against that card. Sparky's so stupid. Anyways, Inferno Tower, and I think that right now tanks are all the rage. There's a lot of really good tanks. Tanks just do so much. The Lava Hound, the Golem, the Royal Giant, the P.E.K.K.A. I know the Royal Giant's not really a tank, but to me it is. The Giant, even people use that Giant and then followed up with Sparky. So tanks are just so prevalent in this game. You really need tanks in order to do well, I think. I mean, I do have a deck that doesn't rely on tanks,